In this video, we will cover what's important with a flash dryer. This happens to be a flash dryer that's a floor model. It's got a stand. You can buy the same thing as a table model. Table model would have the same top, a shorter pole, and then a base underneath, which would be insulated to protect the table underneath. When you're flash curing, that's typically 6 or 8 seconds of heat. All you want to do is gel the ink. You don't want to get the ink too hot, but you also want to get it hot enough. In other words, when you touch the ink should not come up on your finger. If it comes up on your finger, it's not sufficiently gelled. On the other hand, if you get too much heat and the ink fully cures, then when you print a subsequent color of ink on top of your underbase ink, the two will not bond and you'll find your ink coming off in the wash. So you want to only gel the ink. That's a flash cure. You can use these flash dryers also for a full cure, which is not 6 or 8 seconds, but more like a minute. Whether it's a minute more or less depends on how much pigment's in the ink, how thick the ink deposit is, how heavy the material is, like a sweatshirt versus a t-shirt, and so forth. But it's clearly different than 6 to 8 seconds. So that's a little bit about a flash dryer. Now, what is really important in a flash dryer? First thing is safety. This dryer right now is on. You can see the little red light. The face underneath there is running at about 600 degrees. So if that 600 degrees slides down my leg, I'm in trouble. So I'm concerned about safety. So what do I look for safety? First of all, it's on casters. So if I push it, it will roll, it won't tip. That's important. We want casters. Number two, if I'm going to rotate it, I can do it with this handle. I don't have to put my hand on the heater itself. So that's important. Number three, the base on this is steel. It's very heavy compared to the top. Now the top is pretty heavy. It's a ceramic in a metal box, but the base is even heavier. So if I were dragging this and try to tip it, it would right itself. So that's critical to having a safe product, is the fact that it's very base heavy. So you're very concerned about the safety factor. You're also concerned about cost. How do you control cost? Number one is you want a temperature control switch, because you can operate with less heat. And if you have a temperature control switch, you will have this heater about 1.5 inches or 2 inches above the platen to spread the heat out over the image. As opposed to, if you did not have this switch, you'd probably have the heater 6 inches above the shirt. The heat would be going out the sides. You'd be curing the center of the shirt, but not getting the ink around the outside of the image properly gelled. You'd have the center of the image fully cured before the outside is gelled. So you want to get that heater close to the platen. The only way you're going to do that is with temperature control. We find in shops, large and small, 50% of the total electric bill in those shops comes from flash dryers. So if you have temperature control, you can turn down your electric bill. The other way you can control your costs is go for 230 volt instead of 115. That'll cut your electric bill. So cutting the electric bill is the voltage you select, the temperature control, keeping it close to the platen. All those things will help. Now this heater happens to be 16 by 16. How big are your images? Probably 12 by 12 max. Rarely more than that. So 16 by 16 would be large enough. Sometimes people say, well, what about 18 by 18? 18 by 18 is 26% larger, which means you're always going to get a 26% larger electric bill, but the image is still 12 by 12, so there's really no benefit. So if you want to spend money, buy 1818. If you want to save money, get 1660. This flash dryer telescopes up and down. That's pretty common. That's something you should look for, and you want to be able to rotate it. You can get certain options with these. For example, you could get a servo mech where you'd step on a foot pedal and the heater would rotate 90 degrees over the platen. You'd have a timing device on there which would determine how long the heater is going to be over the platen. Once that time has expired, then the platen swings away from the platen. That way you're controlling the amount of time that the ink is exposed to the heat. But that option is pretty expensive. So you may want to hold back on that because of the cost. There's one other issue with these flash dryers, and that's maintenance. This happens to be infrared. You can also buy them with glass tubes, but glass tubes are a maintenance item. You'll be spending money replacing the glass, and I don't believe you get as evenly distributed heat. You're more apt to get hot and cold spots, depending how well the glass unit is made. As far as the infrared itself is concerned, there are better and quality units, as we described in our video about the conveyor dryer. So if you're more interested in how to determine the quality of the IR unit, watch our video on conveyor dryers. So that's a little bit about flash units. If you have any questions, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you.